as you can see around the boxes today. We invite members of the media, please type your questions into the Q&A box throughout our program. We're going to have time at the end to answer questions. But here's what we know. Childcare is essential, and now is the time to act. So let's go right to it. I'm proud and pleased to announce our speakers today who you'll be hearing from. And the first to kick us off is House Speaker Jill Krowinski. Thank you so much for being here, Speaker.
Hi, Allie. Thank you so much for the invitation. So as we work together to create a COVID recovery plan that leaves no one behind, it is clear that access to affordable childcare is a key part of that plan. As we legislators have been hearing about the challenges that families and early childhood education programs have been facing for years, we especially have heard a lot of concerns over the past 10 months. This is why childcare will be one of the most important priorities for the legislature this year. We're so grateful for the work that early childhood education programs have done to support children, families, and essential workers, and our communities throughout this pandemic. The House will be taking the lead this session with a bill that will be introduced soon. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Next, we'd like to hear from Representative Ann Pugh, Chair of the House Committee on Human Services. Thanks for being here, Representative Pugh. One moment, you're actually muted. There we go.
Am I unmuted now?
You are. Welcome.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Allie. And thank you, Speaker Krowinski, who said it so well. It's clear, we know this. Access to accessible, affordable, and quality childcare has been and continues to be a major challenge for way too many Vermont families. And this COVID-19 pandemic has only exacerbated the existing inequalities in our system. While high quality childcare is key for all families, it is particularly essential for our families who are living in poverty, who often have fewer other resources to draw from. High quality childcare keeps children safe and healthy. In addition, it helps children develop skills. We know this, that they will need for success in school and in their lives outside of school. And we know that skilled childcare providers can make a huge difference in the lives of children who are experiencing trauma and adversity, which is essentially much more important than ever now. Vermont has much to be proud of in how we have responded to date, but we can do more and we must do more. Building on those steps we took last year, those steps spearheaded by Representatives Brumsted, McFawn, and Wood, the Human Services Committee is poised to continue to lead that discussion again. And we look forward to working with Let's Grow Kids and other providers and other stakeholders.
Thank you so much, Chair Pugh, for those words and for your partnership. Next, we're going to hear from Representative Mike Marcotte, who's the chair of the House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. Thank you for your leadership on this issue.
Thank you, Allie, and thank you to Let's Grow Kids for your continued advocacy of our early childhood care that we need to figure out. But I'm proud to be a lead sponsor on a forthcoming House bill. And the Commerce and Economic Development Committee is looking forward to diving into the question of childcare, because we know that childcare is key to economic and workforce development in Vermont. Vermont is the second oldest population in the country. We have parents saying, geez, I don't know if we can have another child because they can't find or afford quality childcare. How do we increase our demographics if we're not having children? That's why it's so important that we figure out how to solve this problem starting now.
Thank you so much for making those connections for us. Next, we have Senate President Pro Tem Becca Balint. Welcome.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me speak plainly. childcare investments are a big priority for the Senate. We know that this is an important part of our post-COVID-19 recovery. It's a real opportunity for all of us to build back better. So many of us on the Zoom call already know the reasons why childcare is an important part of our economy, our educational system, and the health and well-being of our families and our communities. But I think we sometimes forget the larger framing that could and should guide our work. The great orator and abolitionist Frederick Douglass said so poignantly, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." And giving our children the best care we can is the right thing to do educationally and economically, but it's also a critical moral imperative. We have to give every child in Vermont the opportunity to have a great start in life. And our work on childcare is not new. This work we'll do this session will continue the great work that so many of us on this call have done for years, both at the state level and locally. And as I was preparing my remarks for today, I was reminded of something that Isabel Wilkerson wrote. And she's one of my favorite American thinkers, an award-winning journalist and author of a book that we all should read. If you've not picked it up yet, it's called Caste: The Origins of Our Discontents. It's a must-read book. And she writes, "We are responsible for our own ignorance, or with time and open-hearted enlightenment, our own wisdom." And so what I want for all of us is to move beyond our cultural short-sightedness and ignorance on the importance of childcare and move towards enlightenment and wisdom. We can emerge from this pandemic stronger, and we will emerge from it stronger. Thank you.
Wow. All right. Thank you very much, Senator Balint. Next, we have Senator Ginny Lyons, the chair of Senate Committee on Health and Welfare. Senator Lyons.
Thank you, Allie. And this we'll move from the high level a statement from Senator Balint, which is absolutely on target, to a more practical level in our about things we hear in our committees. Because as legislators, we hear very compelling testimony from our constituents across the state about how difficult it is to pay for childcare. Parents struggle to make choices whether they're going to buy food or pay rent or have childcare, and they can't work without childcare. Even with financial assistance, a parent pays 30% of her salary for childcare, and this is very, very much unsustainable. Do we want young families to live and work in Vermont? The answer is absolutely. So people need access to quality childcare they can afford. And we will be working this session. We'll build on the work that we've done in past sessions. And we're going to be looking for bold solutions to solve this problem. Thank you. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you so much, senators, representatives. What you see here is bipartisan leadership from the Vermont Legislature. I'm so proud to be standing with you all today and standing on your shoulders. Many of you have been working on this issue for decades and decades. We've heard from leadership. We have many other representatives of other committees who've been champions of this issue with us today. And I just thank you so much for your commitment to the system that Vermont needs, and for all the work you've done and your commitment to keep it going now as we truly don't go home without this. I really appreciate both your commitment, all of your different perspectives, and the inspiring words. So now how are we going to do it? What are the details? How are we going to get this done together? I'd love to share a slide deck while I briefly bring you all through the high-level details of our 3-year policy proposal to truly achieve a high-quality, affordable, accountable, sustainable childcare system for the state of Vermont. That's what we're after. That's what we know we need. So we've laid out a 3-year plan along with our partners that truly meets the needs of Vermont. This is built on years of collaborative work with different stakeholders, to be clear. So I'm going to run through each of these initial policy actions that must be taken in this legislative session, as well as the arc of the 3-year plan by which we will be the first state in this country to have a system of high quality, affordable early childhood education for our people. Next slide, please. Let's talk about affordability first. Cornerstone of this work. Childcare has to be affordable. It must be affordable. Okay, so together we propose, it's no longer if, it's when and how. Let's set a goal for the state that says no family pays more than 10% of their gross household income on childcare. As I think many of you know, and have heard from Vermonters, right now, many families, even those who qualify for financial assistance, pay 30% of their household income, the biggest of any area of their spending in their family budget. So we also have to expand to work upon the work that we've done together to transform the Child Care Financial Assistance Program so it helps more families pay for childcare and it actually pays for the true cost of that care. So let's be clear, affordability is a key component of this. Let's commit to our goal together and let's take an incremental step today to start moving us down this direction. The next slide, please. High quality. Along with affordability, everything you just heard from our legislative leadership, everything we all know to be true, you only get the impact that we seek for our kids, our families, our communities, our economy, and beyond if you have high quality care. This is what we need. This is what our children deserve. They deserve to be taught by prepared early childhood educators who are fairly compensated and well supported. Okay, the quality of an early child education program is inextricably linked to its early childhood educators. So we have to start by not only going big on our goal for affordability for families, but being clear and going big on our goal for compensation for the early education workforce. If we establish fair compensation standards for early childhood educators and invest in workforce development, Vermont is going to grow its early childhood workforce to meet the need. It's a huge part of quality. It's a key component of the system. It's also the key to access and meeting supply and demand. So we must go big on these two goals, and then we must make incremental progress this year on the affordability as well as workforce supports to move us in this direction while we're going to hit the big goal together by year 3. Next slide, please. Accessibility. Remember, before the pandemic, 3 out of 5 children under 6 in Vermont did not have access to the childcare they needed. 3 out of 5 before the pandemic. It is our goal together that children from all backgrounds have to be able to access high quality care when and where they need it. So Vermont's investments during COVID have preserved so much of our childcare capacity. Thank you. Thank you for everyone involved with that. We set a national standard. The status quo has not been working, but we preserved the status quo together. We are able to have a much, much stronger place to leap off of together to fix the system, thanks to those very smart, very targeted, and significant investments to childcare throughout this pandemic. Now we must continue to invest in startup and expanding childcare programs as we emerge from this pandemic. So immediate capacity investments while we move towards the goal of every single child who needs it having a placement in a high quality program, the goal that we envision in the system in this 3-year plan. So that's accessibility. Next is accountable. This, I think we're familiar together with hearing about quality and affordability and access, but let's really linger on accountable. It's not enough unless we have a system that truly is easy to understand and navigate for the families, for the early educators, for the state, for the monitors, the oversight, regulators. We really, really need to do this public policy well for Vermont in a way that serves Vermonters, in a way that ensures we are achieving the outcomes we know we will achieve for our families, for our children, for our economy. We know when we get this right, we're all going to benefit greatly. But let's make sure it's true. Let's make sure that we are holding ourselves accountable. We're looking at data, we're using tech properly, and we have the right systems in place to have a truly accountable, streamlined system for all. There's two key foundational elements I want to point out here to take up this year to get us on a path. The state of Vermont has to invest in updating its technological infrastructure. We're gratified to see this is in the administration's priority list. This has been a priority for the legislature for years now. I believe we're all together coalesced around the foundational element of IT, getting this right. Our entire system must be built upon a solid IT infrastructure for the state. Okay, we have to move forward on that this year. The rest builds upon it. We also need to undertake a study that analyzes the governance and administration of childcare and make recommendations on how to strengthen and streamline that. Next slide, please. Sustainable. What do we see today? We cannot find childcare. Families can't afford it. Early educators can't afford to provide it. And it's not sustainable. Nothing about what we're doing is sustainable. It's not sustainable for Vermont. So we have to make an investment. Transforming our future, true recovery from COVID will take a major investment. Childcare has been undervalued and under-resourced for decades. And our kids, our families, our early educators, our employers, our economy have been struggling because of that. This policy agenda charges experts to analyze the true costs and recommend a stable and long-term funding source to truly get the job done. So that's the overview of the plan in 6 slides. There is a lot more detail, I want to be clear, about every element of this plan, what we do today, what we're charging towards for the 3-year vision. And we have a white paper that is available on our website to all who want to dig in deep with us. And we're really looking forward to digging deeper as well right now today with you all through your questions. So don't forget, media, please be submitting your questions to the Q&A box. Before we get there, there's a little reminder. We're not standing up here on Zoom alone, okay? We have 30,000 people involved in our movement from all walks of life that have recognized that childcare is essential and embrace this vision. So we're going to hear from them directly, a few of the representatives of that movement right now. First up, we've invited 2 business leaders who worked very closely with us to help develop this plan to explain why this is a top priority for them. First, we'll hear from Michael Seaver, who's the People's United Bank president, and Adeline Druart from Vermont Creamery. Michael, please take it away.
Thanks, Allie. I hope I can keep pace with your enthusiasm because it is contagious. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be with you. I've spoken to some of you in the past about this issue, and I'm very happy to be here this afternoon together with some of my colleagues, Paul Millman, Mark Foley, Michelle Ash, Dimitri Garter, and Adeline Druart. So we're all here, and we make up a small but I think mighty committee of folks that have worked closely together. We were convened by Let's Grow Kids this past fall, early in the fall, to pick up where the Blue Ribbon Commission left off and other recent studies and white papers. Those studies establish the importance of high quality care for social and emotional health of our kids. And they also detail some of the costs and needs for a functional and high quality system, as you've heard from Allie here. So specifically, we were tasked with evaluating options for a fair, stable revenue stream that could support this infrastructure. Our work together only strengthened our resolve, and today is the time to move forward with this investment in a system that will support our kids and families. As a group, we represent 5 different counties in the state of Vermont. And our organizations vary in size from 14 employees to nearly 900 employees. So quite diverse industries and sizes, as well as geography. We don't pretend to speak for all Vermont businesses, but we have, through our work and outreach to other businesses, come to believe that there is a very, very broad level of support for these efforts throughout the business community. And frankly, our work continues to be that outreach to tell the story and to bring in additional supporters for this effort. You know, like many of the business in the business community, I've supported this issue for a very long time. And for most of that time, my sense has been, look, we spend a lot of money in education, and we don't need to be looking for new revenue. We need to be looking at the organization of education and see how we can reallocate the revenue that's already here to help support this effort. Well, over investing a lot of time in reading, listening, my thoughts on that have changed. And I don't believe that any longer. Because I believe we need to make a new investment in kids. And the crisis that we have before us is so great, and a systemic solution is so needed that we need to act more quickly than we can with the thought of re-envisioning an entire K through 12 system. I still believe that there's opportunity to do some of that work, but we cannot afford to lose the opportunity for another generation of kids to have access to this kind of system. And by looking to reallocate resources, that's what it would mean in my mind. This will not happen. I hope we can all agree quickly because of all of the different interests. So, you know, I've gotten here, and all of us on this committee, we've gotten here because we do believe that making this additional investment will not only lift up kids and provide them hope for a better future and to help them be their best selves, but it's also going to help me as an employer and the others that I worked with to keep a very talented and stable workplace and workforce, excuse me. And that's a critical need for us right now. So by doing this, we think that Vermont can find a niche and we can lead the nation on childcare, and we'll become the most attractive place to raise kids. We'll attract some of the brightest and most talented young families who want access to that. And we will ensure that every child has that chance to become their best selves. Thanks for listening. And now I'm happy to introduce my colleague who I've enjoyed getting to know and work closely with over the past months, Adeline Druart.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you to my business colleagues. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adeline Druart, and I'm the president of Vermont Creamery. We are located in Websterville, Vermont, and been in business for over 35 years. Our creamery employs over 130 people, 85 of which are in manufacturing, and I'm also a working mom with 2 young boys. So why childcare is essential and why right now? Well, this year, as we all felt the impact of a global pandemic, juggling work, homework, childcare, school, it certainly underscored the fact that childcare is a necessity for all of us. And for manufacturing employee who must show up on time or the line simply cannot run, it has created a critical and unique dependency on our childcare system. Our business is fortunate to be achieving healthy growth year over year, funding our state tax base, supporting dairy farmers, and providing well-paying jobs. And yet, our number one challenge has been staffing. It is actually our limiting growth factor, whether the unemployment rate in Vermont is at less than 3% or 10%. We face this challenge across our team. We have developed hiring practices and benefits to support our employee family needs, focusing on diversity and ensuring women have a clear path to leadership. But even with continued and focused investment, we just can't solve our employee childcare needs alone. So what is the solution? Vermont needs a strong childcare system that is stable, that is affordable for all families, that fairly compensate early educator, and that offer rooms for all the kids. We must recognize that childcare is a state essential infrastructure that needs to be built now. So this bill is not a Band-Aid approach. We spent a lot of time working on it, but it's a first step creating a true system that sustains funding, that will set us apart, set our state apart as a leader in the nation, that attracts and retains, like Michael said, a vibrant and diverse workforce that supports its businesses that wants to grow, and that also propel Vermont into a thriving economy post-COVID. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael and Adeline. Really meaningful to hear your perspectives and discuss the business side of this important issue. We have only two more quick perspectives to hear until we open it up to what we hope is a robust discussion with your Q&A from the media. First, we're going to watch a very short video from Keegan Albaugh, a Burlington dad with two young children. And we'll watch that video right now.
Hey there, my name is Keegan Albaugh. I live in Burlington's New North End. I am a parent of two children, Coraline, who is 4.5, and Penelope, who is a little over 2. I'd love to be there today to talk to you folks, but both my partner and I work full time, and our kids are in childcare, and we're just trying to keep our heads afloat. So I don't, unfortunately, I couldn't make it today. I am the fatherhood program coordinator at the Family Room in Burlington's Old North End. It's a parent-child center in Vermont. And I'm also the founder and president of Dad Guild, a nonprofit organization that looks to support and empower fathers of young children. And every month, about 1/3 of my family's take-home pay goes to childcare. It's a lot of money. It's almost twice the cost of our mortgage. It's a lot, and it feels like we're just scraping by sometimes. My partner and I, we both work full time, and we have decent jobs, but it's still really hard. We've talked about me leaving the workforce to be at home with the kids, but for a variety of reasons, we decided that doesn't work for us. Mainly because I really value the work that I do in the community, and I really value supporting families, and more specifically fathers, because I recognize supporting families is a big community health issue. Childcare is really important. Childcare in Vermont is essential to working families. It's time we invest in what's essential. Thank you.
Always crucial, important, and wonderful to hear directly from the parents on the ground, as many of us are also parents on the ground experiencing the system and understanding that angle of this investment. Finally, we're going to hear from Tricia Scharf, longtime early childhood educator and owner of Williston Child Care Program, who has been instrumental in this movement for a long time. Tricia, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Allie. My name is Tricia Scharf, and I own and operate an early childhood education program in Williston. I have been an early educator for over 30 years and have been the owner of my early childhood small business for over 11. Our staff of 16 currently serves 55 children from 46 families. So as we know, the quality of any early education program, including mine, is totally determined by the teachers providing that education, by the quality of the interactions between the children and the adults. We need our early educators to be well schooled in order to effectively guide the development of the children in our care. But the current financial realities of running an early education program in Vermont make it almost impossible to find and retain educated and experienced teachers due to the low pay and lack of adequate, if any, benefits. Early childhood small businesses can't make enough to pay teachers what they're worth, and they can't charge parents more. As we just heard, we know that many families struggle to pay for early education as it is. But I also know that I have lost many qualified teachers to other professions and to the public school system, not because they wanted to leave what they do, but because they simply couldn't afford to stay. We must increase the compensation of our early educators. We need to expand scholarship programs like TEACH and establish loan repayment programs to help incentivize and support the next generation of early educators. Early childhood educators and our programs have been here for Vermonters throughout the pandemic. Many programs like mine remained open and provided safe, nurturing, healthy places for our children during the closure period when their parents, our essential workers, had to be at work. This pandemic has shown without a doubt that the knowledge, experience, and resilience of early childhood educators are essential to our economy. We must compensate and support our early educators commensurate with the services they provide, not only to our families, but also to our economy. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Trish. So that is our message today. Here we go. 3-year plan. What I love about this so much is you see the depth and breadth of the momentum behind this idea, this solution, this moment for Vermont. It's an incredible coalition of Vermonters from all walks of life, united by a single issue. This is what we need right now. This is what our state and our people need from us right now. And we're not alone. We're not alone. Vermonters are with us. Just a reminder, in recent work we all did, we found out that 9 out of 10 Vermonters agree that childcare for children up to age 5, like healthcare and education, is essential to Vermont. And 78% of Vermonters said they are in favor of increasing state funding for childcare. So let's get to work. I'd love to open it up to questions from the media. And we can also open up the view so you all can see who we have around the table here. We've got incredible folks from all different industries, business, health, legislature, and beyond, parents, early educators, our early childhood partners. We have business partnerships, and it is just wonderful to be here with you all today. Thank you very much for being leaders on this issue. So, do we have any questions? Please go ahead and type them in the Q&A if so. I know this format is a little different than being in person and being able to have a conversation. Does anyone want to say anything, add anything? Those who haven't had a chance to chime in yet. It's a great time to do so. Let's see if we hear anything from the press. Not to put you on the spot, but Dr. Bell, I know we haven't had a chance to hear from you. I wonder if you just want to say a few words of why you're here and what this means for your patients and your families that you work with.
Yeah, sure. So hi, everyone. I'm Becca Bell. I'm a pediatric critical care physician at the Children's Hospital. So I work in the ICU. And this topic is so important to pediatricians. We really rely on the expertise that our early childhood educators have. I mean, they're real experts in childhood development. And they are with our children every day. So when we are trying to care for families, we really rely on that expertise for them to let us know if they're worried about something, to let families know. And there have been many times where early childhood educators have really picked up on some really important health issues and brought it to our attention in a really, really important way. I also do other work in injury prevention around violence prevention and suicide prevention. And one of the biggest protective factors is community connectedness, and for young kids before school age to make connections with adults in the community, reliable adults. And this happens in the early childhood space. And it's really important to build our communities and to build connections. So we build connections with the kids, and then by extension, their families. And then finally, as someone who works in person, I have two young kids, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, both in an early childhood center. And I really relied and depended on them always, but especially during the pandemic. And what amazing leadership they showed, just caring for us, caring for our families, caring for our kids while the rest of the world is really in chaos. So it's really been a bright spot for me personally to have a safe, nurturing place for my own children. So I really appreciate the work that Let's Grow Kids does. And I hope that, we can work together to give access to every kid, every family, and to really support our early childhood experts. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here, Dr. Bell. I think it's an incredibly important perspective. We've had a good question come in. How do we imagine this will impact Vermont's economy? I'll take a quick stab at it, but then I'd love to see if any of our CEO task force members want to add any color from where you sit in the landscape here in Vermont. I think we speak a lot about this having a stimulus-like effect on our economy, on Vermont. In other words, think about where the money from an investment like this actually goes. It goes to Vermonters, all of it. It goes to give Vermonters a rebate because they can now afford childcare with the affordability cap. It goes to putting Vermonters into jobs because now they can be in jobs if they want to be because they can find and afford childcare. It actually lifts an entire sector of mostly women, out of these, depressed wages, and it creates thousands of new jobs in the early childhood field. So it has an immediate economic impact, and that doesn't even mention the demographic pull you heard a little bit about today, the long-term return on investment we all get when you're truly upstream helping kids and families get what they need from the health side, the education side, and beyond. So we believe it will have a tremendous impact on our economy. I think one of the main reasons we all stand together with you today is we know we need to have a transformational investment to have a major impact right now to kick Vermont into high gear and into this new sort of thriving, sustainable future. And this is at the core of it. This is at the root of that. So I wonder if Michelle, Mark, Dimitri, Paul, Michael or Adeline, anyone from the CEO task force, from where you sit, understanding these workforce challenges and the interplay with childcare, want to add any comments about that?
Allie, you nailed all of them. I was listening to you, I thought, wow, she's really nailed them all. And I know, I guess what I'll do is speak personally then. We, like Adeline, are in a fortunate industry where we're experiencing a huge amount of growth right now. And really and truly what's limiting that for us is finding people. So before I even knew about Let's Grow Kids, and actually how I met Allie was we had decided as a company that we needed to figure out childcare for our employees because it was becoming such a limiting factor for retaining employees and attracting people. And then we quickly realized that the system was broken, that we really needed to I needed to get involved with Let's Go Kids and lend whatever support I can to fix this at sort of the foundational level for Vermont. So it's a big limiter for us right now as far as growing our company. And we see this as something that will really help us to stay in Vermont as we continue to grow, as we attract people.
Thank you, Michelle. Let me go ahead and ask the next question that has come in, and that might offer actually an additional opportunity if anyone wants to add that perspective too, because it is about the money, it is about the investment. The question is there an estimate or guesstimate, right on actually with that, on the monetary value of the investment required to make this happen over the next 3 years, i.e. how much revenue needs to be found to make it happen? So a couple elements to this. The best estimate that we have is from the Blue Ribbon Commission, which is around $200 million is the gap between today and a fully funded, high quality and affordable early childhood system in the vision that we have laid out. As you just heard from Michelle, what's changed the conversation is this is an investment, not an expense. You know, these are all types of different sectors and size businesses saying, we're looking at the bottom line. We can't afford not to make an investment like this, to kick us out of where we are today, to think about our employees today, to fill our vacancies, and beyond that, recruit a new generation and pipeline of folks well into the future. So part of the plan, part of the 3-year time frame is that we know we're still in a pandemic. That's why the proposal does not ask for new revenue starting today, but it says by year 3, we must make this investment to truly fund and fix the system. And so what we have in the bill, as you'll see, is a feasibility study, a process that allows us to kick the tires together with legislative leadership, the administration, and other experts to say, what does this look like for Vermont? The ups, the downs, get a more precise figure beyond the estimate that we have from the Blue Ribbon Commission, which is a very solid starting point range. Get a more precise estimate, understand the implications to our economy with the investment, the inputs, the outputs, and truly make this a Vermont solution in a way that's going to meet the needs of Vermonters holistically. So that's the process, that's the shape, that's the rough estimate of how much it will cost. Happy to open this piece up as it relates to economic development and business. If anyone else on the line here would like to add anything.
Ali, I'll just add that this is not just a binary question of finding a workforce or not finding a workforce, which, as we know, access to quality workers is the number one challenge that almost every business in Vermont notes as being their barrier to growth. This is also about the quality of the workforce and the quality of people's lives here in Vermont. We know that access to early childhood education tracks to healthcare outcomes, economic outcomes, criminal justice outcomes, and a whole number of other metrics that foot to the quality of lives for Vermonters. So I think that's just as important as the economic outcomes as well. So.
Thank you, Dimitri. And powerful to hear you say that. This is the right thing to do and the smart thing to do. I think that's why you see so much momentum and this coalition growing as it is. We have a lot of our legislative leadership going to their next obligation on the floor. Thank you so much for being here. We have just a few more minutes. I think we'll answer another question that just came in. How does this interact with what was in the governor's budget address? Does that impact this proposal? Great question. I would say we are gratified to see that the governor put in his proposal the investment in IT. That is a foundational step we must need. One quick example on that to get into the details. We cannot flip to have a system that allows families to pay based on their household income without this IT system. We also don't know who's open, who's not. Are there vacancies? What are the gaps? What are we working with? Parents need this IT system as an interface. How can I seamlessly find childcare, shop for childcare that meets my needs, compare and contrast to see what's out there? Also for programs, we're working with an antiquated system today. And when we move to a true IT system that works, it goes from a real fragile situation with IT that a lot of programs spend a lot of time navigating today to actually one that really benefits and streamlines the system directly for early childhood educators and for parents and for the state and other, folks. So really what we're looking at here is this is really a model of a streamlined, public-private partnership based on data with a lot of, sort of flexibility. It's a nimble system that can be very responsive to needs. So there's a lot of sort of modeling how public policy, done well looks in this proposal and in this plan. So we're absolutely gratified to see the IT as a foundational step is in there, as well as continued investments in childcare financial assistance, which is absolutely what we're asking for as this incremental step so we can continue to build out the system while we go for the big vision by year 3. So thank you for that question, and it does relate to what we're doing, and we are very much looking forward to continuing the collaboration with all partners, the administration, the legislature, to do these 2 feasibility studies and to make these incremental investments this year to keep moving the system in the right direction by year 3. We're a little over time. So we are available anytime for questions to the media, to partners. Please be in touch with us. As we said, we put the link to the white paper right in our chat. We also have it on our website. So please do not hesitate to reach out. This is the beginning of a very important journey together, a very important conversation. We're so thrilled to have so many incredible partners with us as we sort of kick off the 3-year proposal today with you all. So thank you for being here. All of you, press, partners, viewers, and here we go. Here we go. Childcare is in our sights. So really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure this is just the beginning of a deep conversation and work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.